Emergency Management Associates with Ron Tyler. Ron has been a first responder and in the preparedness arena for years. Since the early 1980s, Ron Tyler has been working to make sure people are prepared for whatever comes their way. He assisted his parents doing survival dinners where they went to church. He has lived in earthquake country, where quite a few large earthquakes hit San Diego and the state of California. Ron Tyler started Emergency Management Associates as a way to prepare people for coming emergencies and disasters. He was a first responder and responded to areas to help serve, rescue, and train people. Ron has set up emergency command posts during fire seasons in the mountains of Southern California and in Colorado. Having been a volunteer fireman and then a police officer, Ron knows what needs to be done and has done it. Ron and his crews have saved many people's lives. Ron has spoken to hundreds of community groups, helped organize preparedness fairs where he has lived. Through his travels, Ron has met hundreds of people and is valued in those communities and continues to work and lecture people on the complex work of emergency/disaster preparedness and emergency management. Ron has spent 24 years in law enforcement and has an extensive background in law enforcement and tactics. Ron's career was spent in homicide, traffic accident investigation, weapons and tactics, and personal/executive protection and emergency management. Ron Tyler has been a missionary for his church and is now a gospel doctrine instructor. With these items safely tucked away, you and your family will have an advantage should an emergency or disaster strike. Water, enough for at least 3 days. Food, ready-to-eat canned food, granola bars, dried fruit, peanut butter. Flashlight, with extra batteries. All essential medications and prescriptions. Medical equipment for conditions, extra pair of eyeglasses, extra batteries for hearing aid, etc. First aid kit. Personal care supplies. Emergency contact information. Copies of important documents, photo ID, medical insurance cards, medication lists, insurance policies. Records of personal property and insurance policies. Masks. Change of clothing, jacket, gloves, hat. Blankets. Remember to subscribe, like, share with your family and friends, and thank you for watching. Mail, rltnspdema@gmail.com, and our address is 104 North Green Street, Box 105, Morganton, North Carolina 28655. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates, coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. We want to welcome everybody here who is joining us here on the program this evening. We appreciate you being here. As we've been doing in the past, we're going to start off this evening with the salute to the United States of America with the singing of the national anthem. I would ask everybody right now to please rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now would you make welcome, straight from Washington, D.C., the United States Army Corps Quartet.
Yeah.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous
Folks, let them know it.
America's finest. The United States Army Barbershop Quartet performing at the Barbershop Quartet Army, the Air Force, the Marine Corps, or the Navy. It doesn't matter whether they're in the Coast Guard or Space Force. We love them very much. I want to also thank our allied armed forces, wherever they might be around the globe, that not just help protect their own countries, but help the United States protect the world. Now, folks, while we were doing this, salute to America here, we had a disconnection. We're now back on the air right now. We hope that doesn't fail us. I want to talk a lot about what is happening over in the Gulf of Mexico right now. That's where we're headed with this program. I hope this does not offend anybody, but quite honestly, things are happening, and they're not all good. They're not all good at all. I want to show you what is happening out in the Gulf of Mexico right now. This was 2 hours ago. We're given this 2 hours ago. 11 a.m. UTC, which was 2 hours ago. Okay? Hurricane Milton. Now this is out in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico right now. We showed you Milton yesterday. Milton was just north of the Yucatan Peninsula, and the outer bands of the hurricane were actually striking heavily over in Yucatan, in Mexico. The people in the Yucatan Peninsula got nailed heavily. Really bad storm surge over there. At the time, Milton was a Category 5 hurricane. Milton is a Category 4 hurricane now. Overnight, Milton went through what they call a wall change, an eye wall change. It went from a Category 5 storm, which was a very narrow storm, to a Category 4 to a Category 3 storm. Then it went back to a Category 4 as it went over more open water, warm water over the Gulf of Mexico. Now we are dealing with a Category 4 storm. We do not believe that this storm will gain Category 5 status again. We believe it will probably come ashore near Bradenburg, Florida area, Tampa Bay area, at least Tampa Bay or just barely south of there, like Bradenburg, Florida, like I said a moment ago. That's where they believe it will happen. Now, Hurricane Milton has slowed down. Hurricane Milton has definitely slowed down. What is happening? As the hurricane has slowed down, it means that the landfall may not happen until the middle of the night tomorrow night. The landfall may not happen until the middle of the night tomorrow night. Now this is not good. This is not good at all. Anytime where we have a landfall in the middle of the night means that there will possibly be more danger to people on land. Every time there is a landfall in the middle of the night, more people get hurt because they're not expecting it. Yesterday they were calling for a landfall sometime between 6 and 8 p.m. tomorrow night. Now it's probably not going to happen until midnight tomorrow night. It slowed down its forward progress towards Florida. It is still going to reach Florida. I promise you that. Now, there's a lot of things we need to talk about here. A lot of things we need to talk about. First, mass evacuation is underway in Florida. A mass evacuation is underway in Florida. Why? What is going on? This morning and again this afternoon, Governor DeSantis and his operation cadre of emergency managers and even a Air Force general and an Army general were at that press conference. They scheduled a press conference so they could get the word out to the maximum number of people possible. This storm is still a very deadly storm, a Category 3 storm. Helene was a Category 3 storm as well, hitting in the middle of the night. People are still recovering from Helene in Florida. People are still recovering in Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia from Helene. Now we have another hurricane hitting a week and a half later over in Florida. A mass evacuation is underway in Florida. Now I want you to do this. If you are in Florida, over on the east coast of Florida, you need to get away. You need to get out of Florida now. You need to get out of eastern Florida now if you're anywhere near the coast of Florida. 51 counties are under a state of emergency in Florida right now. 51 counties are under a state of emergency right now in Florida. People's lives are in danger. Storm surge. Let's talk about storm surge. Now that's the east coast of Florida, I'm sorry. Let's first look at the west coast first, okay? Now I'm going to blow this up so you can adequately see what we're talking about here. Okay? First off, let's go up north of Tampa, Bayonet Point. There's going to be probably a 10-foot storm surge. Around Tampa Bay area, a 15-foot storm surge. Port Charlotte, Fort Myers area, another 10 feet of storm surge, and this is only on the west coast. This is only on the west coast. Now, folks, this is dangerous. I can't express in words the danger that people in Florida that live along the west coast are going to have. Like I said last night, the people on the west coast, most of their homes and businesses and buildings were built in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. The building codes have changed. The building codes have changed mightily since then. Most of the buildings on the east coast now are built as cinder block. Over on the west coast, they are built mostly out of timber, wood. That means those houses and those buildings are susceptible to high winds of hurricanes. We've seen what happened last time a hurricane struck Tampa Bay. Huge storm surge, flooding, winds. We are expecting winds of 110 miles per hour, up to 120 miles per hour when this storm reaches land tomorrow. And prior to that, Florida will be buffeted by the outlying clouds, the outlying rain bands of the hurricane, throwing thunderstorms and tornadoes in those wind bands out into the area. There will be tornado watches, there will be tornado warnings. There's already high wind warnings and hurricane warnings up all over Florida. Okay? I'm serious about this. If you are on the west coast of Florida, you may have maybe one more hour to evacuate your homes or your businesses and head for points north. You may have maybe 1 hour left. Right now it is 6:20 p.m. Eastern Time. You may have 1 hour left to be able to get out of Dodge. After that, you need to seriously consider sheltering in place. You need to seriously consider sheltering in place. Now, let's talk primarily about the East Coast. After the hurricane goes through Florida, the inner part of Florida and the eastern part of Florida will experience Cat 2 storm winds and rain. Cat 2 storm winds and rain. Still heavy-duty winds, upwards of 89 to 100 miles per hour, and rain coming down in sheets, literally. You may see 6 to 10 inches of rain. 6 to 10 inches of rain on the East Coast, in these areas that I'm going to point out to you now. Upwards all the way north to Savannah, Georgia, down in towards Jacksonville, Florida. 4 to 5 feet of storm surge. 4 to 5 feet of storm surge. Now, while this is survivable, it can also be deadly. If all of a sudden you were hit with 2 to 3 foot of water, and then the storm surge comes into 4 or 5 feet, and you are laying down in your bed, you're not going to make it. And if you make it, you'll be lucky to have the water wake you up from a deep sleep. Again, this storm is going to hit the coast of Florida, the west coast, at about midnight tomorrow night. By the time it reaches the east coast, now we're going to be talking about 6 to 8 a.m. in the morning. A 4 to 5 foot storm surge may be survivable, but over on the east coast it won't be. I'm sorry, on the west coast it won't be. Let me blow up this map here so you can further see what I'm talking about. Okay? Homosassa Springs, Florida. Bayonet Point, 10 feet of storm surge. That is not survivable. Tampa Bay area. Bradenburg, Florida, 15 foot of storm surge. That is not survivable. Port Charlotte down to Fort Myers, 10 feet of storm surge may not be survivable. Okay? I'm trying to tell you what's going on. This is why we're saying you need to evacuate your homes here. You need to evacuate your homes here as soon as possible. Now, as I said last night, Governor DeSantis last night, or yesterday actually, issued evacuation warnings. Issued states of emergency and asked people to evacuate. Evacuation warnings have been up since yesterday. And yes, a lot of people have left. If you are still in these areas, you need to seriously think about leaving. If you're not going to think about leaving, you need to seriously consider sheltering in place orders and what you're going to do to make your home a fortress that can withstand the rain, heavy winds, and anything else that storm can throw at you, literally. Back during Hurricane Irma, a few years back, Irma threw winds of upwards of 120 miles per hour. Irma picked up huge two-by-fours that impregnated concrete blocks. Two-by-fours being thrown at the side of buildings that were built with concrete blocks. And the two-by-fours penetrated the concrete blocks. This is what can happen here on the west coast of Florida. you need to seriously consider what I'm saying here. Like I said, Governor DeSantis has issued a state of emergency declaration for 51 counties in Florida. He's also issued mandatory and voluntary evacuation orders in these areas. And I would seriously believe that you should heed those warnings. You're not going to survive 10 to 15 foot of storm surge. That is unsurvivable. That's unsurvivable, guys. And I'm being deathly serious here. Deadly serious. The cone of uncertainty is this, okay? Let me also blow this up so you can adequately see this too. Okay? Wednesday afternoon about 2 p.m. Hurricane Milton will be off the coast of Florida with winds of 125 miles per hour, a Category 3 hurricane. As I said before, the outer bands of this storm are going to be throwing great big huge thunderstorms. And those thunderstorms will also be dropping tornadoes in those outer bands of wind. Which means you're not going to just have a hurricane to deal with. Now you're going to have destructive winds of a tornado as well. They have shut down Tampa Bay Airport. Tomorrow at 8 a.m. they're shutting down Orlando. Tomorrow at 8 a.m. they're shutting down Orlando International Airport. They are not going to open up Disneyland or any of the other amusement parks in Florida. Everything's going to be shut down. Daytona Beach, everything's going to be shut down. Port St. Lucie is going to be shut down. Miami, Florida, even though it's out of the cone of uncertainty, I believe they're shutting down the airport in Miami as well because the outer bands of the hurricane. The outer bands of the hurricane winds are going to reach out 125 to 300 miles outside the storm center. The outer bands of the hurricane winds are going to reach out to 125 miles to 200 to 300 miles away from the storm center. That's huge. That's huge. NCWQ Worldwide News and Disaster Explorer said that this hurricane is now 905 millibars in pressure. Yesterday, this hurricane was a lot less than that, down to 189 millibars, a very powerful Cat 5 storm. Right now, this is a Cat 4, a Category 4 storm. Now, sometime tonight, as this hurricane moves closer to land, as it gets closer to land, there's going to be some wind shear. There will be wind shear approaching. All that means, the wind shear means that there will be straight line winds going directly down. Straight line winds going directly down. Okay? The wind shear is going to destroy parts of this hurricane. The wind shear is going to take this from a Cat 4 storm to a Category 3 storm. Okay? Now, with that said, this same area just offshore from Tampa Bay and Fort Myers This also has some of the warmest water in the Gulf of Mexico. And this warm water stretches all the way south around the southern end of Florida through the Florida Keys and goes up and around to the east coast of Florida. It's called the Gulf Stream. Yes, the Gulf Stream still has very warm water, which usually intensifies a storm. But in this case, the weather forecasters are saying that the wind shear is going to reduce the capacity of this storm power. They're counting on that. Now, if this storm does not decrease in strength, then a Category 4 storm will hit Florida. A Category 4 storm could hit Florida. Yesterday they were also saying that it could be a Cat 5 storm as well. Now, while that is still a possibility, it's in the lower realm, maybe 5 to 10% possibility. They're not even looking at that right now. They're looking at the wind shear blowing apart the strength of this hurricane down to a Category 3 storm. Then the storm is going to hit Florida with vengeance. With vengeance. Hurricane Heather says this storm is 165 miles per hour sustained winds. 165 mile per hour sustained winds. If this storm is reduced to a Category 3 storm when it hits Florida, those winds are going to be between 125 to 135 miles per hour. Still a very deadly storm, especially considering the wind powering the waves, the wind powering the water, flushing into Florida. That's going to happen. That will happen. And like I said, the east side of Florida is going to see 75 mile per hour winds. Category 2 to a Category 1 storm by the time it reaches the Atlantic Ocean. And hopefully it will not increase in strength once it hits the Atlantic Ocean. It should decrease in strength and become a post-tropic storm. Okay? Now, Hurricane Heather is also saying an eye wall replacement, just like we saw last night. Just like we saw last night. There was an eye wall replacement. That reduced the strength of the storm. Prior to that eye wall replacement, this storm was a very small but powerful Category 5 storm. When that eye wall was replaced, the eye wall got larger. The eye wall got larger. And as that eye wall got larger, the outer bands of the hurricane spread out. The outer bands of the hurricane spread out just like this. And you can see the strength of the storm now. You can see the strength of the storm now. This is nothing to scoff at. This is a very deadly hurricane. This is a very deadly hurricane. Like I said, there is a mass evacuation underway in Florida right now. And I urge everyone to take advantage of that. Okay? I urge everyone to take advantage of that. Let's talk about transportation out of Florida, out of the evacuation area. Tuesday, today, October 8th, the governor of Florida, DeSantis, has offered free evacuation shuttles, free shelters, and free transportation assistance is available. Both Uber and Lyft are offering free transportation. All you have to mention Uber and Lyft is Hurricane Milton. And then you will get a free transportation to a shelter, free transportation out of the evacuation area. That's in Pinellas, Pasco, and Hillsborough counties. Pinellas, Pasco, and Hillsborough counties. All you need to do is call 800-729-3413. 800-729-3413. 7 a.m. this morning to 7 p.m. Eastern Time tonight. Now it's 6:35 p.m. They may extend this time period for free evacuation shuttles to a little bit later, since a hurricane is also going to extend itself before it hits land. But be advised, this may not hold out. So if you are planning to get out of Dodge, do so immediately. Get out of Dodge immediately. Call 800-729-3413. Make sure you have an emergency preparedness kit. Food. Packaged canned food. Water. You can't last very long without water. Okay? You can also, if you have electric service right now, visit floridadisaster.org. floridadisaster.org/updates for times and locations. Visit floridadisaster.org/updates for times and locations. Call 800-729-3413 for evacuation assistance. Hurricane Heather says Pinellas is sketchy, so get on that bus. I agree. Get out of Dodge while you can. Now, I'm saying you might have another hour to 2 hour window. Make sure you get enough fuel. Fill up your car fully. Fill your gas tank up. Governor DeSantis said there's not any fuel shortages yet. There's not any fuel shortages, and the port of Tampa Bay has already had fuel come in there. And they ship that fuel to the gas stations. So you probably will not have any problem getting fuel right now. You need to seriously consider getting out of Dodge as soon as possible. Now be advised, all the highways leaving this area are northbound. All the highways leaving this area are northbound. They've opened up the highways. You are going to get in heavy traffic, possibly bumper to bumper, slower than normal traffic. Make sure you have plenty of gas. Make sure you do not break down on the highway. Because if you break down on the highway, you will further impede traffic and further impede people from evacuating the area. You may also cause accidents and traffic jams. Don't do it. Make sure you have a good car in good working order, and make sure your fuel tank is full. We've talked many times about this in the past. Make sure you have a plan, an emergency preparedness plan. Make sure you have an emergency preparedness kit with food, water, and clothing necessary to get you through at least several days to 2 or 3 weeks. Seriously think about this. Make sure it happens. make sure it happens. You need to have a plan. You need to have an emergency preparedness kit. You need to have water. Get out of Dodge while the getting's good. Do we have any questions about this? There's mass evacuations already underway in Florida. There's mass evacuations already underway in Florida right now. Does anyone have any questions about what we said so far? Okay, just a second, I'm going to do something here. Okay, let's look here. I need to also tell you that the Florida Department of Transportation has shut down all construction. They have shut down all construction, so the highways should be free and clear so people can leave. Okay? The highways should be free and clear of construction so you can get out of Dodge. Okay? I hope you understand that. But be advised. Traffic is bad. Just a second, I want to show you something. This is what traffic looks like over at Tampa Bay right now on the highway. Bumper to bumper traffic. Bumper to bumper traffic. This is what we thought would look like. Florida's major roadways are getting backed up as people are trying to evacuate Tampa Bay area before the hurricane arrives. All of the local counties have been put under evacuation orders, and those evacuation orders are in place with varying degrees of severity as people prepare for a possibly catastrophic storm surge and damaging winds. Okay? On Interstate 4, heading towards Orlando. Vehicles were packed as they attempted to flee the area, with some drivers using the emergency shoulder as a travel lane. Earlier today, Governor DeSantis did not okay the shoulder to be used as a traffic lane, but they were considering it. Some drivers are already using the emergency lane as a travel lane. Meanwhile, a Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office helicopter caught sight of a massive traffic jam on Interstate 70 between Morris Bridge and Bruce B. Downs. Heavy traffic was also reported on Interstate 275 northbound into Pasco County, which slowed down travelers. We urge drivers to drive safely and expect extended delays. Monday morning, Governor DeSantis announced that tolls on state roads would be suspended in West and Central Florida as well as Alligator Alley to avoid and assist evacuations. Okay? The toll roads have been suspended in West and Central Florida as well as in Alligator Alley to assist the evacuations. That's what's happening. Okay? I want to make sure you all understand what's going on. Any questions? James Burka says I-75 is very dangerous. Stress and cars don't mix. Yikes. I agree. I've been in Florida during rush hours. These highways are usually packed. These highways are usually packed even during the best of times. Even during the best of times. I can only imagine what is happening right now. Tampa Bay drivers are already sitting in bumper-to-bumper traffic this afternoon as thousands evacuate from Hurricane Milton. Milton is still a dangerous Category 4 storm. And like I said, the wind shear before it approaches the coastline should cut this storm down to Category 3. But Milton is still going to be a very dangerous storm. Okay? This storm has led forecasters to place all of Tampa Bay under hurricane watch and now warnings today. The storm is expected to make landfall tomorrow night, Wednesday night, and Tampa Bay right now appears to be squarely in its path. Like I said, the landfall may go south to Bradenton. It may go south to Bradenton. But Tampa Bay right now is in the crosshairs. Residents fleeing evacuation zones now face heavy congestion on the major highways and local roads. The major roads such as Howard Franklin Bridge, I-4, and parts of US 19 were crowded and slow. At 4:30 p.m., even Google Maps estimated it would take about 1 hour and 11 minutes to get to Wesley Chapel from parts of downtown Tampa, approximately 40 minutes longer than a normal day. Pinellas and Pasco counties announced an evacuation on Monday for residents in zones A and B and C, and mobile homes in Pinellas. Those zones are home to more than half the county's population. Hillsborough County ordered mandatory evacuation for residents in Zone A and B, and those living in mobile homes or flood-prone areas. According to Pinellas County Emergency Management Director Kathy Perkins, she said they already had a deadly brush with Helene, and Milton is projected to bring twice the rain that Debbie did, and twice impact from Helene. This is serious. There is no room for waiting. You must take action. There is no room for waiting. You must take action now. This could take Pinellas roughly 23 hours to fully evacuate zones A, B, and C, and Hillsborough roughly 20 hours to evacuate zones A and B. Those are according to estimates from the state government database. Tropical storm winds may begin in the region early tomorrow morning, hours before Milton's landfall. Even before Pinellas announced mandatory evacuations, the Florida Department of Transportation video feeds showed heavy traffic on the Howard Franklin Bridge. Hillsborough County spokesman Chris Wilkerson said that the usual guidance still stands: evacuate tens of miles, not hundreds of miles. Evacuate tens of miles. We're talking 50 to 60 miles at least. 50 to 60 miles. Governor DeSantis has made deals with all kinds of hotels. Governor DeSantis has made deals with all kinds of hotels and motels alike. From the Holiday Inn to Quality Inn and those kinds of hotels. They're offering a reduced price to evacuees. They're offering a reduced price to evacuees. Okay? Residents should aim to get outside of the major evacuation zone rather than risking major delays while traveling to a different region. East of Tampa, parts of I-4 have also been jam-packed since 1:30 p.m. as drivers head for Orlando. Gas shortages are probably non-existent at this point in time, but the longer you wait to get out of Dodge may see you not being able to buy the gasoline you need to get out of Dodge. The gasoline and or diesel. Governor DeSantis said this morning there was plenty of fuel, both gasoline and diesel. Now, more than 50 gas stations in Pinellas and Hillsborough counties were low on gas by 4:45 yesterday afternoon. That's according to Gas Buddy. Most of those gas stations were resupplied during the night. Statewide, they said there are over 300 outages. 300 outages when it comes to fuel. 2 of racetracks, 3 locations in Pinellas, for example, had only diesel fuel remaining. 4 of the 10 least expensive gas stations in Tampa Bay had run out of regular fuel by Monday afternoon. Gas stations attached to big box stores such as Walmart, Costco, and Sam's Club were in the best of shape. Governor DeSantis has directed officials to, like I said, to suspend tolls across the West Florida and Central Florida area starting at 10:30 a.m. yesterday. And those tolls are still not in effect today. That includes tolls for the following roads: the Suncoast Parkway, the I-4 corridor, the Selman Expressway, Veterans Expressway, Gateway Expressway, the 275 Express, the Pinellas Bayway, and the Sunshine Skyway Bridge. All of the toll roads have been suspended to assist travelers in getting out of Dodge. Okay? Berlinda's here in the chat saying her daughter just got home from the hospital. I'm happy to hear about that. I hope she's all right. Now, the Florida Department of Transportation is also going to allow some drivers to drive on the shoulder along parts of I-4 and I-75 to ease the flow of traffic. Okay? The Florida DOT is allowing some travelers to drive on the shoulder along parts of I-4 and I-75 to ease the flow of traffic. Do we have any questions here? Linda, I'm glad she's okay with that colostomy bag. That's good. Any questions? Now I want to talk about this hurricane. I want to talk about 5 things to know about the 2024 hurricane season. There are 2 factors that are leading experts to say to expect extremely active 2024 season. The remnants of hurricane kits have sat untouched for months, until now. Canned soups are nearing their expiration dates. Flashlights collect dust. Flashlights are collecting dust. Let's not talk about batteries starting to ooze. That's why we've been talking about having emergency preparedness kits active. Having active emergency preparedness kits. Rotating everything that you have, including batteries. If your batteries are starting to ooze, replace them. Okay? Anything hurricane related has been out of sight and out of mind for probably a year until now. Colorado State University, which is affiliated with FEMA and affiliated with the National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration, this past Thursday, shook things up. Forecasters are still calling for an extremely active hurricane season. They've already said there's going to be 23 named storms. We are already at Milton. 11 of the named storms will become hurricanes. 5 will reach major hurricane strength with sustained winds of 111 miles per hour or higher. How big a deal is that going to be? Colorado State, being affiliated with the National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration, has been doing this work for a lot of years. They are renowned for their expertise in tropical storm forecasting. Okay? They have not called for more than 9 hurricanes in nearly 3 decades of forecasting. 2 factors are stirring the alarming outbreak: blistering Atlantic Ocean temperatures and a burgeoning La Nina weather pattern that historically feeds hurricane growth. Here's a breakdown of the report of what you need to know. Last year, a tropical tug-of-war was at play. Hot ocean temperatures which fuel hurricanes dueled with a hurricane weakening El Nino. A hurricane weakening El Nino weather pattern that made predicting the 2023 hurricane season challenging. But that's turned around this year. This year we have gotten into a La Nina weather pattern. La Nina years typically bring strong trade winds which cool the waters in the Pacific. The jet stream juts north, which usually means there's less shear to chip away at a cyclone as it churns toward land. That's where we're lucky this year, because the jet stream in this case has dipped very low. And that's why they believe, the forecasters believe, that there's going to be a tropical wind shear coming down out of the Atlanta, Florida region, cutting off the power from Hurricane Milton. Okay? Over a 30-year period, with La Nina pattern has produced 105 major hurricanes over a 30-year period, compared to 45 over the same time frame with El Nino conditions. The odds of a storm causing more than $10 billion in damage also increases during a La Nina year, especially in Florida. In an El Nino year, you see a lot fewer trucks in the Caribbean. Fewer tracks in the Caribbean. El Nino really increases your share down there. To get a major hurricane, you have to have plenty of wind shear. You need to get plenty of wind shear, which will reduce the hurricane strength. Several North American hurricane models based on years of statistical data are predicting the La Nina around August of this year, and that's what happened. Just as the peak hurricane season arrived. We didn't get any huge storms until then. One of the reasons was out over Africa, we had a huge dust storm that was blowing across the Atlantic westbound over into the Gulf of Mexico, literally cutting off any tropical storms. The dry, dirty air cut off the ability of tropical storms to make it to land. For the past few months, temperatures in the main development region of the Atlantic, from the coast of Africa to the Caribbean Sea, have stayed a few degrees above normal. Ocean temperatures currently are about where they would be expected around mid-June. Ocean temperatures right now are where they would be expected to be in June. Even if sea surface temperatures in the Atlantic warm at a slow rate, the ocean would still be record hot by peak season. Now, we're still talking about water temperatures that are, say, like the top 5 warm in recorded weather history. The top 5 warm in recorded weather history. What did we say right now that area just west of Tampa Bay is? It is very, very warm. Okay? Right now, that is going to help, hopefully, to take this storm down. It'll hopefully help take the storm down. As we've stated before during hurricane seasons in the past and even this year, the intense heat of the Atlantic Ocean on the eastern side of the United States still acts like jet fuel for hurricanes. Storms can pull heat from the ocean water and transform it into wind energy. The more heat available, the stronger a storm can get. That's why we saw Hurricane Milton become a Category 5 storm just north of the peninsula of Mexico, the Yucatan Peninsula. Okay? Hot waters provide right temperatures for rapid intensification. When a storm strengthens by 35 miles per more or more in a day, as Hurricane Ian did in 2022, you make things where it's going to intensify more rapidly. Projections from the National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration show that sea surface temperatures are likely to remain above normal. They've already been above normal in June, July, and August. Now we're into September and October. A plume of balmy water is expected to remain in the main development region over in the Gulf of Mexico and over on the east coast of Florida. What can happen? What can happen? Hurricanes. A load of hurricanes. There is a 54% possibility that Pinellas County will feel the nasty weather from named storms during the 2024 season. Not just Milton. A storm gets named when it reaches the winds of 39 miles per hour or higher for at least 1 minute. A named storm can be a hurricane, a tropical storm, or a subtropical depression. There is a 27% chance of the Pinellas County, Florida, seeing wind or rains from a hurricane. They're going to see it right now, starting tonight into tomorrow. And an 11% chance for a major hurricane, as we're seeing now. The numbers for Hillsborough County, which also right now are under evacuation orders, is almost identical. A 53% possibility for a named storm, tracking within 50 miles of Hillsborough County. 28% possibility of a hurricane, and 11% possibility for major hurricane, according to Colorado State University and NOAA. It's happening. We are seeing it happen right now. Does anybody have any questions? I'm very happy that Hurricane Heather is here. She's offering wonderful advice to everybody. She's offering wonderful advice and a lot of counsel. Diane Kelman says they have developed a way to control the weather. You're right, they have. And that's one reason why that storm, Milton, became a Category 5 so quickly. Even the Weather Service admitted that yesterday. The Weather Service admitted that yesterday. Any questions? Now, we still have some time. I want to first talk about flooding in Tampa Bay. Then I want to talk about building storm kits. For those of you that are in Florida or elsewhere where you might get hit by a bad storm, it doesn't have to be a hurricane. It does not have to be a hurricane, but that's what we're talking about tonight. Hurricanes. You need to know what's going on right now. Okay? So let's talk about flooding in Tampa Bay. Flooding is always a major risk during storms. Tampa Bay last year got hit with hurricane, a very bad hurricane. Some of the bridges in Tampa Bay went down. I want to praise Governor DeSantis because in 20 days, one of the main arteries around Tampa Bay bridge that went down was rebuilt in 20 days. Governor DeSantis and his Department of Transportation crews did an awesome job. The process of water pushing into homes and businesses weighs heavily on the minds of residents of Tampa Bay, especially when it comes to being ahead of the storm. And that's where we're at right now tonight. Tampa Bay has not been hit with a direct hit from a hurricane in a while. Yet multiple storms have managed to flood areas such as Coastal Shores Acres in St. Petersburg, or more inland homes along the Aveyah River, Alafia River, in Riverview. While guidance from the National Hurricane Center and emergency managers is vital in assessing personal risk, it's helpful to have a few extra tools in your tool belt. One of those tools is watching real-time and future water levels. And that's exactly what we've been doing, literally all day today. Tomorrow we'll talk more about the water levels and future water levels as we have this hurricane pushing the land. There is an online dashboard from the National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration that provides data on tide gauges across portions of the coastal Tampa Bay area. Additionally, another resource from the National Water Prediction Service shows where river flood warnings are possible. Now, you can go over to the tsunami map. You can go over to the National Buoy Center and pull up the buoys in those areas where you see rising water levels. Where you see rising water levels, you need to pay particular attention to those areas, because the rising water levels from those buoys will tell you, hey, Tampa Bay may have a problem, or other places may have a problem. Okay? The information, while far from the only piece in the larger puzzle, that is called hurricane prediction or hurricane preparation, gives residents and you and I another way to evaluate the risk. Now, what they've done is put together a risk map, a risk report about rising water and how to access the data surrounding it. What to know about the tides. Tides are influenced by the sun and the moon. And we've seen what's been happening at the sun as of late. A lot of sunspots erupting. CMEs, coronal mass ejections from the sun, providing plasma radiation penetrating the plates around the Earth, heating up the water. Okay? When the tallest part of a wave reaches an area, that's called high tide. The opposite is low tide. The difference in those heights is called tidal range. The difference in heights between high tide and low tide is called tidal range. Now, weather patterns can influence tides. Strong wind and rain can lead to higher than expected tides. And that's what we're going to see right now around Tampa Bay and the west coast of Florida. Okay? And then top it all off, we are in peak hurricane season. Around this time period, water levels are normally going to reach 8 or 9 inches higher than typically they are during the winter and the spring. But now, because of the hurricane, we're going to see 10 to 15 foot storm surge. When you have warmer waters, the ocean waters expand. The ocean waters expand. And so it increases in elevation along the coast. Okay? The warmer waters expand. Now, in the future, in the past parts of this program, not today, but in past programs, we've talked about king tides. A king tide is just a colloquial term that refers to higher than normal tides. Higher than normal tides. The flooding these high tides can cause has a few names. King tide flooding, nuisance flooding, or sunny day flooding. A king tide occurs when two ingredients come together. When the moon is the closest to the earth, combined with a new or full moon. In Tampa Bay, there are just a few feet difference between low and high tides, less than in other coastal parts of this country. That means whatever weather occurs that day will play a more important role in determining if a high tide will cause flooding there. Flooding can occur without a weather system, though that is less possible, less common. Tampa Bay sees king tides about 4 or 5 times a year. One occurred when Hurricane Aveyah was skirting the coast of Tampa Bay in 2023. Aveyah scraped the coast just hours before a king tide. But had Aveyah arrived 6 hours later, Aveyah's storm surge likely would have been 2 feet higher because of high tide. In Tampa Bay, a number of different things can be considered here. A number of different things can be considered. Tampa Bay has a port system. There are more tidal gauges around the whole Bay Area. Okay? More tide gauges. This is an important part of storm prediction, especially when it comes to a hurricane coming into Tampa Bay. They are watching these tide gauges. Okay? But the areas north of Tampa Bay, like Pasco County and beyond, do not have those tidal gauges. So what we're telling you is Tampa Bay is lucky, because the authorities in Tampa Bay are watching what's going on, even right now. And they're going to watch those gauges increase rapidly. That is one reason why Governor DeSantis has issued a state of emergency and mandatory evacuation of the coastal areas. They've been watching this. They've been watching it. They have tide stations at the pre-existing structures, such as a pier, an ocean pier like Pier 60 on Clearwater Beach. When a storm is coming, they go to the NOAA Coastal Inundation Dashboard, the National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration Coastal Inundation Dashboard. They say that is their real-time product, where they can get real-time information about what's going to happen in Tampa Bay. They can actually predict or pinpoint the tidal stations that are going to get hit first and what is going to get hit after that. Okay? Each and every one of those tidal gauges give real-time water level data that show when minor flooding, moderate flooding, or major flooding is possible. And that's one of the reasons we showed you the data here. Let me bring it back up here. Just a second, let me find it here. Okay, that's on the, I'm sorry, this is the West Coast here. The storm surge data. They've been watching these gauges almost religiously. Okay? Don Patoga's here, and he's saying that Bubba lives about 45 miles north of Florida. He's lived through a Cat 5 on Guam in 2002 without power for 28 and a half days, and on water for 11 days, no water for 11 days. And he's not scared. Folks, it's one thing to be scared. It's another thing to be out of your mind, knowing what's going to hit. If you're being faced with this and you have the opportunity to evacuate, you ought to do it. Arnold Smith is saying it's been reported that temperatures up in the higher altitudes is minus 80 degrees Fahrenheit, where it's normally minus 52. Meaning there's a huge temperature increase here. A huge temperature increase. Okay? Like I said, I am encouraging everybody within the sound of my voice. If you are in a mandatory evacuation zone, get out now. You're not going to have much more chance to get out. Get out now. If you wait more than 2 or 3 hours, give up. Then you actually need to be doing a mandatory, and I'm talking a mandatory shelter in place. A mandatory shelter in place. That is to make your home a fortress. Wherever you are, make your place of residence or wherever you're at a fortress. A fortress against winds, a fortress against incoming water. Okay? Make sure you have enough food and water to sustain yourself for several days after the storm. And it's going to be a doozy. It will be a doozy. Okay? Now, we talked about emergency plans. We've talked about checklists. Let's talk about storm kits. Okay? You're going to want to have essentials like food and water, like I've said. Okay? But you also need to have handy items that will make your life a little easier after a storm, or even during a storm. Don't let it be you who has to dash into a panic and fly like a bat out of heck into a grocery store to fight over the last few gallons of water, if they indeed have water left, or granola bars or batteries left on the shelf as a hurricane looms off our coast. Don't go there. Don't go there. Let me give you a hint. This past weekend, 1 week after we had a major hurricane hit here in North Carolina, 1 week later, there were some batteries that are still not available. Some kinds of batteries are still not available. We're talking C's and D batteries. C's and D batteries. Now, Harbor Freight has AAA and AA batteries, and even some 9-volt batteries. But they are completely out of C batteries and D batteries. None available. I walked into Harbor Freight today. The same thing is true. And the next truck that they will get isn't going to come in until October 17th. October 17th, more than a week away. You need to have equipment. You need to have supplies. Don Patoka says radios, ham radios, and or an AM, FM, NOAA weather radio. By the way, I've ordered another AM, FM, NOAA weather radio. It should be here any day now. Okay? I told you I had 3 NOAA weather radios here. All 3 stopped working during this past hurricane nearly 2 weeks ago. I'm not going to have that happen again. Okay? So folks, I'm hoping you're not going into a store right now around Tampa Bay or anywhere along the west coast of Florida looking for batteries or granola bars or water. Nor should you be waiting in a snaking 3-hour line at the pumps or multiple hour waits out on the highway as a storm creeps closer so you can fill your gas cans or gas tank and snake along the highway hoping to get out of Dodge. Or trying to find a place to bring your kids, your pets, or old Aunt Mabel as the highways clog. As Floridians, or anyone else watching this program. We're supposed to be more clever than that, aren't we? That's why you are members of our EMA family here. That's why you're watching the Emergency Management Associates program tonight. You're smart. We're supposed to be more clever than waiting in lines to get food or waiting in a huge long highway wait trying to get out of Dodge. Get out of Dodge while the getting is good. You and I are stocked up on water, food, and other supplies well ahead of time. We're stocked up on water, food, and other supplies way ahead of time, aren't we? We know how to keep our gas tanks full. My gas tank got almost down to half full, and I pulled into a gas station and filled it up. My wife laughed at me. She knows me. She knows that I'm not going to let our gas tank get a half tank or less. She laughed at me. You're going in there to top it off, aren't you? Yes, I am. We're not in the middle of a fuel shortage, and we're definitely not getting hit by a hurricane right now. But I told her a few days ago, what if Milton decided to change course and go north? It's always a possibility, isn't it? I'm not going to wait until there's an emergency to fill my gas tank. I'm not going to wait until I have to be in a line on a highway and I chance not making it down the roadway because I only have a half a tank of fuel. We need to be stocked up on water and food and other supplies. We need to have our gas tanks full and to have even a few fuel cans in the shed filled as well. As soon as a weather forecast utters convection, or they say the temperature's cooled off and we may get a snowstorm, don't wait for that. Don't wait for that. We need to have a plan for us. We need to have a plan for you, me, our families, our pets, our children, everybody. We need to have a plan where to take our family and pets, and even Aunt Mabel. And yet, every year it seems like it's the same old story. Every year it seems like it's the same old story here. Even on Emergency Management Associates. How many of you have an emergency preparedness kit? How many of you have an emergency plan? How many times have I talked about this? How many times have I talked about this? And yet, there are tons of people that are not paying attention. Yes, we get complacent. We watch the forecast and hope and pray that nothing's going to happen. And so we pass on it. We wait until the last minute, then we're stuck. Suddenly we see a Florida man. We look foolish as a guy who robbed a convenience store with an alligator. How would it look for a man in Florida to rob a convenience store with an alligator? If there is any year to correct that behavior, it is now. If there is any time to correct that behavior, it is now. Right now. Immediately. It may not feel like Hurricane Aveyah is going to flood hundreds of homes like last year. But Milton is on the track to do just that. Record hot ocean temperatures make it precarious. As I said before, This year we've had an emerging La Nina year, a La Nina pattern, which fuels hurricanes. And it is expected to emerge even stronger during the next month or two into November. November, we usually see the end of hurricane season. But now we've seen 2 hurricanes hit Florida. And one of them reach all the way up into North Carolina and Virginia. Okay? These hot ocean water temperatures have stuck around. They were at summer level months earlier. One of the most important things you can do now, one of the most important things you and I can do now, is to build a solid emergency kit for hurricanes, earthquakes, or whatever. We need to build a solid hurricane, earthquake, emergency kit. One that has essentials that can keep us alive after a storm hits, such as medication, food, and water. But one that also has items that would just make your life a little bit easier or even more comfortable after a hurricane or other storm hits, such as a headlamp or a battery-operated fan, of which we have several of those in our house today, thanks to my wife and I. While we were prancing around over at the store today, yeah, we weren't prancing, but we were walking around Harbor Freight. We saw all kinds of lights. All kinds of lights, flashlights, solar-powered lights, even headlamps. But again, what were they out of? I saw in one of their ads a few days ago one of those collapsible lanterns, battery operated and also solar operated. I had to throw out one of my solar operated collapsible lamps because it failed. The other one works very well still. I want to get another 2. Harbor Freight had them advertised on a special for $2.99. After the sale runs out, they will be $4.99, which is still a very reasonable price for a collapsible solar lantern. So I'll still buy it. But what happens when they don't have C and D batteries? What happens when Harbor Freight, Walmart, and all the other box stores do not have batteries? And yes, even Walmart has run out of batteries. Okay? What happens then? You need to get stocked up a lot earlier than being forced to do it. Okay? These essentials will help you keep alive. Stay alive. They'll make your life a lot easier and possibly even more comfortable during the hurricane. A headlamp especially, a battery-operated fan, or even a battery-operated lantern. Start putting together your emergency kit today. Start putting together your emergency kit today. If you're in Florida, you better be home right now. Making your home a fortress, including making sure your emergency kit is operational right now. Don't wait until the storm is knocking you down. The storm is already heading your direction. When everybody else is scrambling for what you have, things are going to get a lot more dicey. Things are going to get more dicey. Everyone else is going to be scrambling for the same things you are. Emergency officials today have told people that they needed at least 7 days worth of non-perishable food and water per family member. 7 days worth of water, non-perishable food per family member, including pets. That's the length of time it could take for supplies to reach you after a bad hurricane. The standard rule is that each person will need at least 1 gallon of water per day. And I've asked you all to have at least 3 gallons of water per day, per person. Carol and I have a gallon of water for our pups. We have a gallon of water on the floor for our pups every day. We have it in a water bowl with a feeder on top of it, making sure Holly and Crystal have plenty of water. We also have 2 food bowls for them. We have a 5-gallon plastic food grade drum or food grade plastic canister for their food. It's down to half. We're going to refurbish it tomorrow with more food. Now, you need to have everything done up. Okay? The length of time it could take for supplies to reach you is at least 7 days after a hurricane. The standard rule is that each person will need at least 1 gallon of water per day, and I'm saying 3 gallons. You also need to keep at least 30 days worth of prescription medication on hand. I have 90 days worth of medication on hand every day. Every day. When mine starts getting a little low, I call my prescription in at the pharmacy and they fill it and send it immediately to me. Okay? And yes, I'm trying to keep my eye also on the chat here. Okay? Now, you don't have to go out today and buy it all at once, because right now you're not going to have that opportunity. You may have only hours to make sure you have the things you have, things you need, and then it's going to be too late. Make sure you have everything for your hurricane kit or your emergency preparedness kit immediately. Make sure you have adequate canned goods, water, and or trail mix. Okay? Canned goods, water and or trail mix that's on sale. Build up your food supply. You guys in Florida may not have that time right now, but I'm giving you hints on what you need to do going forward. Plan to stow these items away, and it will make your life easier and more comfortable when emergencies happen. This storm is going to knock out power. This storm is going to pack 80 to 120 mile per hour winds when it hits land. That's going to put you in a pickle. It's immediately going to knock out power. It's immediately going to knock out power when the outer bands of this hurricane hit Florida. If your power is out and you don't have a generator, when this hurricane hits tomorrow night, it will be pitch black at night. Sure, a flashlight will do for finding your way around. But if you want to be able to do complex tasks after dark, having a headlamp will give you 2 hands free instead of 1 hand holding onto the flashlight. Instead of 1 hand holding onto the flashlight. And a battery operated fan, one that's on the corner of my desk right now, will give you just a little bit of comfort as the Florida's humid summer weather continues that scorches all of you that are without air conditioning. The one thing that Carol and I had were battery-operated fans. One thing that Carol and I had were battery-operated fans. Don Patoka said Duke Energy, which powers South and North Carolina here, said they will be out of service for an extended period of time. There are presently 80,000 people up in the western mountains of North Carolina that are still without power. 80,000 people, and it's been 2 weeks now. It will be 2 weeks on Friday. 80,000 people without power. And they are working hard. They have other companies that are helping Duke Energy reestablish the power. But things up on the mountain went down. And they went down in a big way. It's taking time for the power company to reestablish power. And hopefully this time they'll do it in a more expedient manner. And maybe even put some of the wires underground instead of above ground. Instead of being above ground, because the above ground wires were susceptible to winds, and that's what knocked down the power. Okay? You need to have backup batteries to keep things going. Beyond that, I want to give you some checklists to help you prepare no matter what the situation. Okay? Now, this may sound a little weird because I've only mentioned this once or twice in the past 5.5 years. In your backpack or your container where you have your preparedness kit, and you may need 2 or 3 containers for your preparedness kit. You may need multiple backpacks if you're using backpacks. Carol and I have 72-hour kits each of us, but we have several kits containing emergency supplies. The thing that you may find odd that we have are air horns, canned air powering a horn to call for help. Air horns to call for help. That way, those air horns save your voice. We have many whistles in our preparedness kits. As I stated before, batteries, assorted batteries. Yes, we have, I think, 4 C batteries left. I'm trying to get more C batteries, MD batteries, to help power my police flashlight here. This is a 3-cell D-cell flashlight. This is a 3-cell D-cell flashlight. Okay? I actually thought it was a C-cell, but it's not. It's a 3D cell. Okay? Make sure you have batteries enough to power the flashlights and other battery-operated equipment that you have, including hearing aids. Okay? If you're planning on storing your preparedness gear in backpacks, make sure your backpacks are sturdy and waterproof. Make sure you have a can opener and not an electric can opener. Never electric. Cash. With no power or cell service. One of the things my fellow neighbors and members of our church and other places proved to themselves that they needed cash. When there was no power or cell service available, there was hardly any selling being done because the stores here in this area did not have power. Even Walmart was knocked out until they got their generators up and running. And then those generators only gave them like 8 hours of power at a time. Make sure you have cash. Make sure you have cash. Cash salted away. Make sure you have a wallet full or a bag full of cash salted away in your preparedness kit. Because when plastic is not able to be worked, because power's out, cash talks. No, cash yells. Cash has a voice. One of the things Carol mentioned was disinfecting wipes. We have disinfecting wipes all over our house. We have in our extra closet here in the hallway. We have wipes underneath each of our sinks, one upstairs and one downstairs. Those are very effective. Disinfecting wipes and also hand sanitizer. Disinfecting wipes and hand sanitizer. Also with your kit. People forget this. Make sure you have extra clothing and socks, including something warm if the temperature gets cold. Don't forget socks. If your feet are cold or damp, you're going to quickly find that your feet hurt or your feet get blistered. That's the last thing that you want to have happen. Because if your feet are cold or they get blistered, you become very uncomfortable. And pretty soon you're not able to walk. Pretty soon you're having to go to the doctor because of your feet. Make sure you have a lot of dry socks and extra clothing. Underwear as well. Make sure you have a first aid kit. How many times have I said that? Make sure you have a first aid kit. Handheld lanterns. Headlamp and batteries. Identification. Insurance cards and car insurance as well. Insect repellent. How many times have we talked about NOAA weather radios? I have my police radio right here. I have my police radio right here, and it's tuned to the NOAA weather station here in Morganton on Grandfather Mountain. Okay? I may not have an AM/FM weather radio right now, but it'll be here in the next couple days. But my my police radio here has the NOAA frequency built into it, and I have weather radio right here. Okay? Renee Steffi's here in the chat saying Shelby, North Carolina is only accepting cash at several stores. Still, a week and a half later, after the hurricane, please be sure you can get small bills. Make sure you can get small bills. $1 bills, $5 bills, and nothing larger than a $10 bill. Nothing larger than a $10 bill. Keep your small bills more freely. Keep your small bills more freely. Small bills will get you everywhere. And even pocket cash, coin. Your NOAA weather radio, battery backups, and hand cranks. Non-prescription medications such as antidiarrheal, pain relievers, whether it be Tylenol or Advil. Pens and paper. Don't run down your phone battery by writing stuff down on your phone. Use pen and paper. Like I said a few minutes ago, personal wipes, hand sanitizer, phone charging cables. That's one of the things that we had here was phone charging cables. I have solar power batteries here. Carol and I were able to keep our cell phones charged. Carol used her phone more for playing games and keeping herself occupied, while I was more concerned about what was going on around us, helping protect us. Both of us were using cell phone power until, guess what? the cell towers died. The cell towers died. We no longer had connection to the outer civilization. We had to decide what to do here in our house. We had to decide what we were going to do inside our house. We played board games and had a good time. We used our barbecue grill not to barbecue, but to cook our food. Our rules here in our apartment complex said absolutely no barbecue grills. I told my manager when we first got here, except in an emergency will I use my barbecue grill. They still had a problem with me storing propane here. So I kept that kind of a secret that I had that as a backup. I used our barbecue grill not to barbecue but to cook food with in pots and pans. Okay? You can do the same. Make sure you keep your phones charged. We also charge our phones when we're out wandering around the city, even though they said do not travel. We went around big trees falling down in roadways. I even showed you a roadway, a highway here in Morganton that was shut down by a river. While we were out and about, we made sure our phones charged in the car. And I always kept my portable oxygen unit charged up as well. Okay? You need to think about that. Richard Smith says he has a barbecue grill, a charcoal grill. Charcoal could be good, except around here, they won't allow us to have any fire. Okay? Make sure you have portable power banks for smartphones and tablets. A portable power bank for smartphones and tablets. Carol and I have one here. Just a second. Isn't that funny? Our portable power unit is right here. This can charge 2 cell phones at the same time and charge them multiple times. This is a portable power unit to charge cell phones and keep them charged several times. This unit kept our cell phone charged 3 times. Then I kept putting it in the sun on our windowsill here in my office to keep it charged. This is important. Again, you can buy these from 4 Patriots. You can buy these from 4 Patriots. You can get other power banks also from other sources, but I happen to enjoy 4 Patriots Food and 4 Patriots Supply. They've done me good and good very well. Okay? Portable power banks for smartphones and tablets. You need a rain jacket and pants and poncho. We have those as well. Rubber boots. How many of you have rubber boots or heavy-duty leather boots that are waterproof? How about safety work gloves? We have 3 pair of safety work gloves, leather gloves. We have spare eyeglasses and eye drops. Spare keys to our house. I have 1 spare key on my key ring as well as a key to the house, and Carol has another key on her key ring as well as a key to the car. Okay? Spare keys to homes, businesses, and vehicles. Sturdy boots and shoes. Sturdy boots and shoes, and a backup pair of those. Sunscreen, lip and balm. Carol makes sure we have sunscreen and lip balm. We have multiple sleeping bags here. I make sure our sleeping bags are stored at least 5 feet high so they cannot get wet. We will not allow our sleeping bags here to get wet at all or even get damp. We don't want that to happen. Don Patelka says Florida's in the way. Yeah, Florida's in the way right now. But that's what everybody said 2 weeks ago. And look what happened to us in North Carolina within 24 hours after Florida got hit. I'm sorry, my graphic was in the way. That's what you're talking about. Florida's in the way. Okay? Let me show you my power bank again. Okay? This is the 4 Patriots power bank I was talking about. It kept our phones charged 3 times over. Both of our phones charged 3 different times from this power bank. Then we put it in the window to keep charging, and now it's charged again. I love our 4 Patriots power bank. Okay? If you don't already have one, I urge you to get one. Those 4 Patriots power banks that I have shown you here, right here, are invaluable. They're really invaluable. Don Patoka says 1 is none, 2 is 1, 3 is better. I agree. I totally agree. Okay? Arnold Smith says 1,000 watt generator, compact, reliable, and can operate a 750 watt power microwave oven. A Honda 2200 can provide enough oomph to charge two 6-volt deep cycle marine batteries that will take 6 hours. That's cool. And I highly recommend that. You can get one of those Honda power generators at Harbor Freight. About $265, $300. You can do it right now. You can buy it online or walk into Harbor Freight. They've got these generators on hand right now. Okay? Toothbrushes, toothpaste, and floss. Water purification tablets. Water purification tablets. I myself, and I don't have it here, I should have had one here to show you, but we have these portable pens. These portable pens. We can fill a container of contaminated water that looks brown in color and turn it into drinkable water very quickly. Okay? It's called a water straw. A water straw. They only cost anywhere from $6 to $10 a piece, and you can get one. And they will give you 500 gallons of pure water. Okay? Waterproof folders for documents and photos. Our waterproof containers are actually these gallon Ziploc baggies that we have. We use the gallon Ziploc baggies for document storage, insurance, health paperwork, our identification, both driver's license and federal identification passport information. All of that is also in those baggies. Okay? Waterproof matches and lighters. We have those long stick lighters that you see. They're usually used to light fireplaces and such, or water heaters. We have 3 or 4 of those. Okay? I highly recommend those, very highly. Okay? Make sure you have a preparedness kit. If you lose power after a storm, which is going to happen starting possibly even as early as later tonight. If your home or neighborhood gets hit hard, or if help is not going to be available to reach you for a while, this next gear will make your wait at home more tolerable. Bleach to clean up mold. Bleach to clean up mold. Make sure you have rubber gloves using the bleach. A carbon monoxide detector. Battery operated for gas power generators. A carbon monoxide detector. Put the gas generator outside. Do not use your gas generator anywhere near your house. Don't do it. A can opener, manual can opener, never electric. Disinfecting wipes. Duct tape. I have 2 rolls of duct tape here in my office. We have 2 more rolls of duct tape over here in our emergency kits. We've got another roll downstairs in the kitchen. My wife uses it all the time. Extra water. Every time we use a milk jug here, every time we buy a water gallon jug, after we use it, in the case of milk, we rinse it out highly rinse it out, even using bleach to help rinse it out. Then we fill those jugs with water, spare water from the tap. We don't drink tap water here. Use those gallon jugs for storing water. We have 5 gallon jugs. We have probably 30 1-gallon jugs hanging around here. 31 gallon jugs on shelves hanging around here. That way we can flush toilets. We can use those jugs to wash with, to clean up. You can also make sure your tub is clean, or you can buy a tub fill kit, which is basically a huge plastic bag you can put in your tub and fill it with water. So you will have spare water to wash with, clean with, and everything else when the power goes out. And yes, our water provider here in Morganton said because the power was out, they were not going to be able to pump water here into our homes. We had plenty of water here. You need to know how to survive without water coming to your home. You need to have plenty of extra water here, and I recommend you buy your water and keep it. How about hand soap? How many of you use soft soap or bars of soap? We do. We have plenty of soap backup. We have shampoo backup. We always have 2 bottles of shampoo. My wife has 2 bottles of hair conditioner. We've got everything here. Hand soap. Fan battery operated. We talked about a first aid kit. Batteries, first aid kit. Batteries, first aid kit. You need to have a battery for your flashlights so you can see what's in your first aid kit. And you may also need a flashlight to make sure to check if someone is alive. Check their eyes. Check their breathing. Make sure you have an adequate first aid kit. We talked about this before. And first aid scissors. Band-aids, small and large, including a tourniquet kit. If you got old sheets that you can no longer sleep on or no longer want to use the sheets in your bedroom, cut them up in 3-foot-long pieces. Cut them up in 3-foot-long pieces, 3 square foot. You can use those to secure your arm to your body if you break your arm. You can make a tourniquet to save your life, save one of your limbs or your child's limbs. Okay? Know how to do that. Make sure you have garbage bags, plastic sheeting for garbage, and covering broken windows. Now, one of my friends named Alex here where I locally live, a very dear friend. He's an emergency preparedness guru such as I am. He has a ham radio. He teaches first aid and he teaches ham radio training to get licensed as an operator. He's a guru when it comes to emergency kits. One of the things he told people about, since The water people here in Morganton said that we would soon not be able to flush toilets. You could put a trash bag inside your toilet bowl and make sure you have cat litter or something similar to cat litter or pine sawdust. You use a toilet, you throw some cat litter in there or some sawdust. Once that bag gets full, you tie it up and put it outside. And you put another bag in the toilet and use duct tape to secure the bag to the outside part of the toilet. And again, you use that up until the bag is full. Then you take that out and replace it. This way you're going to have a toilet to use in your home. Okay? Garbage bags for toilets, garbage bags, plastic sheeting for garbage and covering broken windows. Insect repellent. Long-handled squeegees for scraping mud out of a flooded home. A laser pointer. I have several laser pointers to attract help in the dark. Or aiming it at an aircraft is a crime. Aiming a laser pointer at an aircraft is a crime. But aiming a flashlight as an aircraft to signal the aircraft is not a crime, but is very useful. Think about it. Think about what you're going to do to save your life. Okay? Laundry detergent. Laundry detergent and a bucket for washing clothes. Laundry detergent and a bucket for washing clothes. Think about it. A NOAA AM/FM weather radio. Battery and or hand crank. When my 3 radios died on me 2 weeks ago, I was very disappointed. Well, within the next couple of days, we'll have another here to replace those. Paper cups, plates, and plastic utensils. These were a godsend when Carol and I were without power. Paper cups, plates, and plastic utensils. Paper towels better than sponges if there's no water. We have a huge amount of paper towels. Okay? Personal wipes, antibacterial personal wipes, you need to have those. A portable air conditioner, we don't have that. If you have a portable air conditioner that can run on a generator, you'll be happy. A portable camp stove, similar to my grill, to make sure you are able to cook on it. A portable generator, never operate it indoors. Never operate a portable generator indoors or near a door or window. Beware of carbon monoxide poisoning. One of my friends has a generator in their backyard, and they were being accused of someone a couple doors down having carbon monoxide detectors going on. That is physically impossible. That's physically impossible. Their generator is in the middle of their backyard, and there's fences between the homes and large spaces between the homes as well. So it was impossible for my friend's generator to be causing their carbon monoxide detector to be going off. And we suggested that they check their carbon monoxide detector to make sure it was operating properly. Make sure it had adequate backup batteries. Okay? Again, power banks to power your smartphones and tablets. A powerful flashlight. We had many flashlights here. We have like 6 or 7 different flashlights here, as well as the one portable lantern we have here. And soon we're going to have 2 or 3 portable lanterns here. Rags, sponges, and mops for cleanup. Rags, sponges, and mops for cleanups. Safety work gloves. We have 3 pair of those. Spray paint to paint address and insurance carrier on the houses. Okay? If you need to paint your address on your curb or on your mailbox, those spray paint containers will be great to do that with. Surge protectors or power strips in your house. Surge protectors and power strips in your house, we have plenty of those here in our house to either shut off equipment or to protect our equipment in case of a power my mind just went blank. A power outage, or for the power all of a sudden to come flying back into service and knock out all of our electrical equipment, including our computers. I'm not going to let that happen. Tarps for damaged roof. If it wasn't for some of my tarps and the tarps of our neighbors, some of our neighbors would not have been able to have their home today, because it still rained after it first started raining. We got 6 inches of rain where we live. Fortunately, we were able to save our neighbors' homes. Okay? Termite bait and ant poison. Termite bait and ant poison you might want to have. Toilet paper. There's a run going on with toilet paper in our area. We've heard that Costco and Sam's Club and Walmart's are going nuts keeping toilet paper in stock. That's crazy. That's crazy. A toolkit. I have plenty of tools here. All kinds of wrenches and also other tools to help me do any kind of repair that we need to do here. Toothbrushing pads. When water is in short supply, having a toothbrushing pad. Wrench or pliers to turn utilities off and on. Wrench or pliers to turn off gas and or electricity. We talked about vehicle hurricane kits before, or vehicle storm kits of any kind. If you need to use your vehicle and it breaks down, what are you going to do? You need to have a shovel in your car, or a pick shovel in your car. Cash, because a tow truck or repair shop may not be able to take an electronic payment off of a card. Again, disinfecting wipes in your car, duct tape in your car, emergency blankets, a fire extinguisher, a toolkit in your car, garbage bags, plastic sheeting for garbage and covering broken windows, jumper cables, maps, map books, physical or not digital. Physical and not digital. If the power goes out, you're not going to be able to find a satellite. And the satellites may not be able to keep up to date. That happened here in North Carolina in the mountains. The GPS was worthless. A multi-tool. In weeks and months past, I've told you about multi-tools. I have 2 multi-tools here in my home. 2 multi-tools in my home. This one has a spoon, this one has a pair of pliers, as well as 2 different types of screwdrivers and also knives. Okay? A multi-tool is invaluable. We also have plenty of pocket knives. This one has a belt clip on it. This one has a belt clip. Now, while I don't have a portable air compressor, that is also a good thing to have. A portable air compressor to make sure you can fill up your tires if your tires start going low. In one case where I have a dolly here, one of the dolly tires keeps going low, and I have to take that dolly over to a service station and pay 75 cents to fill that tire. That's stupid. I have a portable jump starter in my car to make sure I can keep my car going with the battery. I've got a power inverter for charging devices. I have safety gloves in the back of my car as well. We keep the vehicle registration in the car and also keep a separate copy in the house. You need to keep proof of insurance both in your wallets, your purses, or your car. Make sure it's in the car, because if you get pulled over and the officer wants to see your car insurance paperwork and you don't have it, that's going to be another ticket. Also, water repellent. Water repellent. To keep your shoes and clothing dry. Water repellent. Now, your children may also need a hurricane kit. If you're breastfeeding, experts say to keep a week's worth of powdered formula on hand, just in case. Baby food, baby wipes, blankets, pillows, books, games, playing cards, puzzles. Don't rely on electronic devices to entertain your children. Books, games, playing cards, and puzzles. Child's insurance IDs. Clean bottles. Diapers. Diapers is one of the #1 items up on the mountain right now. Drawing paper. Crayons, markers, and pens. Extra dry clothing and underwear. Formula. Kid-friendly canned goods. Medical alert bracelets if needed. Non-prescription medication, antidiarrheal, and pain relievers. Antibacterial wipes, personal wipes. Sturdy shoes and rubber boots for your kids. Toothbrushes, toothpaste, and floss for your kids as well. Toys that cannot be damaged or lost. Toys that cannot be damaged or lost. And you may need toys that can be damaged or lost. You want to keep your children busy, just like you want to keep your pets busy. Your pets are children too. Keeping your pet microchip will help you ensure that you are reunited with Fido or Kitty if you're separated. Keep a picture of your pets on your phone. Current pictures. Keep your microchip contact information up to date. Make sure your pet is also wearing a tag with your current contact information. Some shelters accept pets, but you're still going to need to pack their gear. Make sure you have a pet emergency kit. We've talked about this before. A blanket for them. Carol and I have blankets in each of their pet beds here. A crate or sturdy carrier. Disposable litter trays for cats. We don't have cats. Disposable bags for pet cleanup. We have those. Extra collar with updated pet tags, contact information. Extra leashes. Medications for the dogs or cats or any pet you have. 30-day supply of medication. Medical records for your pets. A muzzle for your pet. A 7-day supply of food recommended. We usually keep several months' supply of food as well as water. Your pet microchip kept up to date. Make sure besides your kids' toys, you have pet toys. The last thing you want to have is a pet that's upset at you because you can't keep them busy. Especially dogs that require to keep busy. The dogs may want to be able to work. Okay? How about sheepdogs? Dogs that work at farms. Dogs that usually work with cops, or dogs that love to try to find things or people. Make sure your pet is aware of everything going on. And make sure you keep telling them that everything's fine. Even though things may be going crazy, make sure you have toys and such to keep your pets busy. Also have pet wipes. Portable food and water containers like we have. We have a supply of puppy pads. We have recent photos of our pets on our walls, we have photos of our pets on our devices, and we have other photo of our pets in our emergency kits. Okay? Also have service animal supply if you have service animals. And make sure you have treats for your pets. Our pet kids love treats, and they will actually start begging for treats occasionally. You also need to have allergy medication for you and your pets and your kids. Aloe, antacids, antidiarrheal medication, antihistamine cream, antiseptic agent, antiseptic wipes, aspirin, pain relievers, burn relief spray, cotton balls and swabs, eye wash, a first aid manual. All this is in our first aid kit. Hand sanitizer, hypoallergenic adhesive pads, tape, making sure you don't have any problem with tape on your body. An instant cold compress, we have several of those. We have latex and rubber gloves. We have laxatives here, moistened towelettes, mosquito repellent, petroleum jelly, safety pins, sewing needles, scissors. We have 3 different kinds of medical scissors as well as regular scissors here. Soap, splints, sterile adhesive bandages, all sizes of them, sterile gauze pads, sunscreen, triangular bandages, thermometers, and towelettes, and tweezers. That's what we have. What do you have? What do you have? Are you guys ready for hurricanes or anything that's going to happen? That's why we mentioned that tonight. I want to make sure you have that information. In the title of this program tonight, it says Preparedness. It says Preparedness for a reason. This way you can use this program tonight as something you can keep on hand. You can refer to when there's a problem. You can refer to when you need emergency information. That's why we do what we do. Okay? Now, before I end this program, Don Patoka says something that's invaluable here. Okay? Disasters can be unpredictable and sudden. Logistics need to be flexible and adaptable. This means being able to respond quickly to changing situations and adjusting plans as needed. Issues to consider for your preparation is master plans. Master plans. Have your preparedness kit and your agenda written up in an emergency plan. Write up your plan. Prevention, preparedness, protection, response, recovery, and adaptability and mitigation. Remember those things. Remember those things. Arnold says there's always the risk of having too much stuff. I agree. I am very calculated in everything we have. My wife sometimes thinks I'm crazy, but I'm very calculated in what we have here. The more you have, more of maintenance in time is required. The more you have, more maintenance time is going to be required in some cases. Remember the 5 basics. Water and food are the 2 top. Water and the food are the 2 top. Renee Steppe says whiskey can be used as antiseptic to wounds. And she's right. She also says glow sticks can help rescue or spline you, your car, and your pets at night. Agreed. Agreed. Now, brothers and sisters, I've had a lot to say. I've had a lot to say. I'm not going to keep you here all night, but I am going to say one more thing. I want to go over to the first epistle of Timothy in the New Testament. I use all my scriptures all over the place when I come to finding things to help you keep a positive attitude and think positively of Jesus Christ, our Savior. I'm going over to the first chapter in Timothy, verses 11 through 13. According to the glorious gospel of the blessed God, which was committed to my trust. And I thank Jesus Christ our Lord, who hath enabled me, for that he counted on me faithful, putting me into the ministry, who was before a blasphemer and a persecutor and injurious. But I obtained mercy because I did it ignorantly in unbelief. And the grace of our Lord was exceedingly abundant with faith and love, which is Christ Jesus. Faith and love is Christ Jesus. Christ is here for each one of us. Christ is here for each one of us. In verse 15, this is a faithful saying and worthy of all acceptation, that Christ Jesus came into the world to save sinners, of whom I am chief. Howbeit for this cause I obtain mercy, that in me first Jesus Christ might shew forth all long suffering for a pattern to them which should hereafter believe on him to life everlasting. Life everlasting. Now unto the King eternal, immortal, invisible, the only wise God, be honor and glory forever and ever. Amen. He's here for us. Christ is here for us. Brothers and sisters, I have a testimony of Jesus Christ. I tell you that almost every day that we're here. I have a testimony of Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ is my friend. He's my partner in crime. He's my partner with everything I do. No, I don't go about committing crimes. I did not mean it in that way. But Christ is my brother. He's my pal. He's my partner in everything that I have. And that might sound a little bit irreverent. But I don't go anywhere without Jesus Christ on my mind, in my prayers, and in my heart. Always and forever. Lately, whenever I pray for almost anything, I get an immediate answer. For the first time in my life, I get an immediate answer, especially when it comes to blessing members of my family. I get an immediate answer. Now, I want to share something with you. I got a card from Rob. He sent it in the mail about 5 days ago. It finally came. In this great big world, you make a difference. Thanks, Rob. I appreciate it. Each one of us occasionally needs to hear that. He says, Ron, I'm so thankful that one of the many lives you touched is mine. I pray God multiplies back to you the blessings you are many times over. In Genesis 12, chapter 2, Genesis chapter 12, verse 2, I will bless you and you will be a blessing. I will bless you and you will be a blessing. Rob also wrote in here, thank you again, my brother. God bless you and Carol, your brother Rob. One of the scriptures that Rob just showed us here in the chat. Rob always shows us, and I appreciate it so much. One of my favorite scriptures is what he shows. Philippians chapter 14, verse 13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Amen. God bless you, Rob. God bless each and every one of you. I love you all. Friends, neighbors, on our scroll down here at the bottom of our screen, we're showing you our address. 104 North Green Street, Box 105, Morganton, North Carolina. The zip code here is 28655. You can also email me at rltnspdema@gmail.com. I appreciate that. We haven't had too many cards or letters in the past while. This is one of the reasons I appreciate each and every card that you send us. I really mean that. I love to see cards and letters. It makes Carol's my day, especially Carol. She needs those kind of things, guys. So if you want to talk to anybody, you want to send a card, send it to my wife. Mods, can you post our address in the chat? Arnold Smith says, please post your address in the chat. Rob52 just did. Thank you, Rob. God bless you for that. I love cards and letters, guys. I really do. I have a record of every card and letter that you guys have ever sent. Since day one, 5.5 years ago. I have kept them in my home here in boxes, filed. Every card and letter we've ever gotten here. We love seeing those. At Christmas time, we put the cards and letters at Christmas up on the walls. Actually, not on the walls, but on our doorways. The Christmas cards and letters, even from years past, go up on our doors. We love decorating our doors with cards and letters. We love you. We love you all very much. May God be with you this day and always. May God be with you and strengthen you, even you folks that are in harm's way with Hurricane Milton. God bless you that he may hold you special and keep you from harm. God be with you until we meet again. We will be on the air about 4 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. I want to make sure we have a program going when this hurricane hits. So we'll be probably going on the air about 4 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. God be with you until we meet again. We'll see you on the other side. Have a good night, everybody. Much love. Take care. Bye-bye.